All right, everybody. Dustin at DRC. So I've had a couple of questions on how to assemble the bubble plate column that I provide on the website. So make sure first thing is when you get your column that you make sure that you have good gaskets. Should be 5 gaskets, 4 glasses. You should have your all thread, your studs should have 4 of those, 16. This is going to be a 3-inch. 16 of your 5/16 nuts, couple of flanges. You'll have all your parts for all your bubble plates. This is only going to be 1 bubble plate, so I can keep it short. You're going to need a couple of 13 millimeter end wrenches or 1/2-inch end wrenches, and you're going to need a 5 millimeter Allen wrench. Not necessarily, but you can use it if you want to. So first thing is, we're going to assemble the bubble plate. That's pretty quick and easy. You're going to notice that you're going to have one of these copper things is going to be different than the rest of them. So this one here is going to be opposite direction than these are. These ones go up and these ones go down. See how one goes up? This is going to be your liquid level on your bubble plate. So I just put that one on first thing, just like that, and then put my Allen screw in the cap and stick that on there and screw that down. It's pretty easy. Don't necessarily even need an Allen wrench for these. I just stick that in there, get them snug down a little bit, and then I'll tighten them up by hand. They don't need to be herked down, no ugga-dugga, just snug, that's it, right? So you put those in there. Now these ones go up like that, right? Okay, just like that. Put your cap on it. Screw this down in there just like this. Okay, this is a 3-inch, not a 4-inch. The 4-inch ones of these, start with the middle one first. Much easier. This one goes up. We'll have 3 up and 1 down. I always start with the oddball. Again, 4-inch, start with the middle one. Makes life easier. And just a snug, that's all you need, right? Okay. This is for the bubble plates themselves, okay? Now, once you get these assembled, snug, make sure they don't rattle. You don't want these coming loose during distillation process. Now, each one of these gaskets has a slit in the very center, and that's where these go. These go inside that slit in the center. Okay, that's what seals it off in between the pieces of glass. So you want to make sure that that is set in the middle, inside that groove in that silicone gasket. Okay, now you can just set that on a plate. Doesn't matter, it can be any one of them, right? You're gonna have 4 of them, so I'm just gonna pick that one. So first thing you wanna do is make sure that this is clean, right? This is for assembly purposes only, right? Put a gasket down, put a glass in, gotta make sure it's seated, or you can seat it in there, however you wanna do it first. You can seat it in the rubber and then put it in there. Then you're gonna put a gasket, okay? Glass, gasket, glass, gasket, glass. You gotta make sure that they're in there, because if they're not sitting in there properly, when you tighten them, they'll be at an angle, okay? Glass. You'll know right away if it's not in there right, because it'll be crooked. Does help if you have an extra set of hands. It is always handy with these here. I mean, this glass is tough, but it's not that tough, okay? Now we have our column assembled. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a nut on, right? You gotta make sure that your holes are lined up in your column. I didn't do that. So line these up, drop that down through there if you want to. What I'll do is I'm gonna put a nut on the inside of that. Now you don't have to double nut them. You can if you want to. I do it this way. This is how I do this. So I'll put a nut down here, and I'll put a nut down here. Now these two, I'm gonna lock them to this flange, okay? So I'm gonna put a good amount of stick out right there, right? You can see how much we're gonna have here, so you can adjust that as you want to. So you got that one there. Now the other thing you can do too is you can do it this way too. You can put a nut on here, spin it all the way down, okay? Now you gotta put this one through here, and then you can spin this one all the way up, right? All the way to the bottom of the threads, if you want to, right? Now you gotta do it the other way. I did it wrong, my bad. So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. I just do it this way because it's easier. And you can do this before assembling the glass if you want to. I don't. Now if you wanted to, you can have this one off the top, right? And then you can spin these all the way down on there. If you're like me and you just leave it together and never take it apart, you can do it this way too. So now you got those in there, and you can put the flange on. Make sure it's sitting down in there, okay? So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna tighten these two up here, right? I'm just gonna snug these two down right here. And what that's gonna do is gonna keep this from rotating when I'm trying to tighten it up, okay? So that's gonna keep that from rotating as I tighten that up. They don't have to be even. The only thing that needs to be even are the flange faces together, that's it. Make sure you don't push that wrench into the glass because it will snap, right? It'll break the glass. So now these are tied to the flange, right? They will not spin. So now you can just take your nut and put it on the top. And you'll need a tape measure, okay? Keep in mind, these are stainless nuts and stainless threads, so keep that in mind too. Little never sees goes a long ways, okay? So I'll just do that, and then I'll just kind of push down just a little bit with my hand, just kind of even that down a little bit and tighten it up just by hand, okay? That's just by hand, that's it. Right? Then what I'll do is I'll take a tape measure and I'll see what my measurements are going around the flange. And that you want to tighten up evenly, okay? So you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of pressure on this. You just need enough to seal it off. That's it. Because when this gets hot, it's going to expand. Expanding is going to seal it even more, right? So it's going to put even more pressure on the glass. So I'll just come in over here and I'll just do a couple of turns. Now tightening these up allows the nut to turn, but not the thread, the all thread, right? So I'll just come around and I'll just tighten up. Say we have all four of these on, okay? So we'll just tighten them up evenly, going around, right? Going all the way around. Make sure that it's even. We'll do our measurement. Measure right there. 15 7/8. 15 7/8, right? And then you'll get to a certain point where they'll all be nice and snug, okay? We only have two of them on there for right now, and it's still it looks a little bit crooked, okay? So I will tighten up this side over here just a little bit, right? Gaskets might be a little bit funky. Glass might be cut a little bit crooked. You just have to go by feel of what everything is feeling like it's doing. Making sure that your glass is in the rubber, good, inside that groove, good. And then when you get done, everything is nice and snug, not tight, but snug. Nothing will move around. Then you can go ahead and snug these ones up underneath here. This is the way I do it, right? I'll snug these up underneath here, just snug, right? It's gonna expand and get tighter. So I'll just do that, and then everything stays where it needs to stay, and that's it. No wiggle, Everything is nice and tight. So I hope that helps people that needed some guidance on how to assemble a glass column. That's how I do it. I hope it helps everybody. Shine on.